Call our special council meeting to order for Wednesday, April the 9th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. We're going to move on. Number 2 is our declaration of pecuniary interest. Any members of council have a declaration of pecuniary interest tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on. Number 3 is our approval of the agenda. We have a motion that reads that the agenda of the regular council meeting for April the 9th, 2025 be approved as presented. Moved by Councillor Roux, second by Councillor Vedabon-Ker. Comments or questions?
Should it say special council meeting, not regular council agenda?
Correct. Deputy Mayor, thank you. So we'll amend that to state that the agenda of the special council meeting of April the 9th, 2025 be approved as presented. I'm sure that's good with the mover and seconder. Further comments and questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Before I read the number 4 motion to go into closed session, council, you have a report that was before you. Does any member wish to go into closed session for any comments or questions of staff? Okay, seeing none. We will bypass number 4. We won't need to go into close. Madam Clerk, I know there was a motion on the closed session report. For our open session, are we reading the motion that's with the report, or are we using the motion that was in that close, just for clarity? Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. So for clarity, we're going to read the motion that was on that close. So I have a motion that reads that the Council of the Town of Penetanguishene rise from in-camera session with a report. And the report, Council, is that Council directs Jamie Robinson of MHBC Planning Consultants and the town's legal counsel, Quinto Inabel of Loopstra Nixon LLP, to settle the official plan appeal, zoning bylaw appeal, and zoning bylaw amendment appeal pertaining to 221 Fox Street on the basis that the settlements are consistent with the Provincial Planning Statement 2024 and conform to the County of Simcoe official plan and the Town of Penetanguishene official plan and represents good planning for the reasons outlined in Staff Report PL 2025-02. I'll look for a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Marchand, second by Deputy Mayor. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. And we'll move to adjournment. We're going to look for a motion to adjourn at 6:33. Moved by Councillor Roux, second by Councillor Vedabon-Ker. All in favor? And we're adjourned at 6:33. We'll be back at 7 for our regular council. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Council. We're going to call our Council meeting to order for Wednesday, April the 9th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Move on to number 2 is our land acknowledgement. Penetanguishene respectfully acknowledges that we are on the traditional and treaty territory of Nishnabek people and their ancestors, now known as the Williams Treaties First Nations territory. This includes the Chippewa Tri-Council, comprised of Bosley First Nation, Rama First Nation, and the Georgina Island First Nation. Alderville, Curve Lake, Hiawatha, and the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nations. Also once home of the Huron-Wendat, and more recently the historic settlement of the Métis, Penetanguishene is now home to many Indigenous peoples. Penetanguishene is proud of its Indigenous name, and more importantly, that for thousands of years it has been and will continue to be an important homeland and gathering place for Indigenous people. We recognize that we are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters, and are responsible to ensure that our Mother the Earth is here for future generations. Council, I'm going to ask if we can stand, and I'm going to ask Councillor Vadabunker if you can lead us in the council commitment, please.
Thank you, Worship. Council commitment for the town of Penetanguishene. We are grateful for the many gifts which have been bestowed on Penetanguishene and its citizens, including the gifts of freedom, opportunity that we enjoy. May we be worthy custodians of all that has been entrusted to us. We ask that all in attendance and those that could not be here assist us in promoting good government. May our decisions as members of council be enlightened, and may we be strengthened in our awareness of our duties and responsibilities. May we be granted the wisdom, knowledge, will, and understanding to preserve the good fortune of the town for the benefit of all and to make good laws and wise decisions. Thank you for attending.
Thank you very much, Councillor Vadabunker. Councillor Marchand, please.
Nous sommes reconnaissants des nombreuses grâces accordées à Penetanguishene et à ses citoyens, dont la liberté, les possibilités et la paix dont nous jouissons. Que nous soyons des intendants dignes de tout ce qui nous ont été confiés. Nous demandons que toutes les personnes présentes et celles qui n'ont pas pu se présenter nous aident à promouvoir une bonne gouvernance. Que nos décisions à titre de membres du Conseil soient éclairées et que nous soyons toutes renforcés à prendre conscience de nos devoirs et responsabilités. Que l'on nous accorde la sagesse, les connaissances, la volonté et la compréhension qui nous permettront de préserver la bonne fortune de la ville au bénéfice de tous, ainsi que de faire de bonnes lois et prendre de sages décisions. Merci pour votre présence.
Thank you very much, Councillor Marchand. And just for everyone, Councillor DeRush, thank you for joining us tonight, and Councillor Waters is away today. I want to start tonight by acknowledging our staff for the tremendous work that everyone did supporting our community with the ice storm and what affected the community. I know everyone here did a tremendous job, and I know it's more than you, but it's you and your staff. So I would like to sincerely thank you all for your work, for everything you've done to make sure that we got through this. You know, it affected a lot of people, and it continues to affect people, not just close to here, but across the region. There are still people without power and are still reeling their effects, and it's going to take some time to get over it. But again, I think we came out pretty well as a community. I know it was still a period of inconvenience, difficulty. Some people went longer than others without power, and we do know that there were some challenges, but again, I can't say enough about the team that's behind this community to really rally behind and make happen what needed to happen. I will say that I do think there's opportunities that we learned from this. I think we could have communicated better. I think there's some things we can always learn, and we'll take that away. And if there's any mishaps on the communication end, I'll bear that responsibility and accept that responsibility. But I want to thank again Andrea and Carrie and Brian and Sherry and Carrie and Kelly. Again, you know, everybody was affected with no power. They're affected with no communications. And I know staff are coming here to get connected and communicate and make sure that we were able to provide the service. Our water remained safe. Our wastewater remained safe. The roads had access for emergency vehicles, hydro, second to none. So thank you so much to all of you. Tremendous work. And I think we all owe a huge debt of thanks to you. So thank you so much. We'll move on to number 4 is our public service announcement. Brittany, I believe we have a video for Chief Renaud, and Chief Renaud is my thank yous for what I just said as well. If you don't mind keying that for me, I appreciate that, Brittany.
Hello, and welcome to this evening's council meeting. Before we start, just a few messages. For those that require the washrooms are located just outside of council chambers, to the right, down the hall. Town Hall is protected by a single source system. Should the fire alarm activate, please exit the building through the rear doors or the side doors. Make your way down to the parking lot closest to the church. In the event of a medical emergency, please dial 911. The address for Town Hall is number 10 Robert Street West in Penetanguishene. And I'd like to remind everyone that we have a public access defibrillator just outside of council chambers. I wish you a safe and good council meeting. Bonsoir et bienvenue à la ville de Penetanguishene et à la salle de conseil. Avant que nous commençons ce soir, une couple de messages. Si vous avez besoin de les chambres de bain sont situées juste à l'extérieur de la salle de conseil, au bout du corridor à votre droite. La salle de conseil est protégée d'un système d'alarme à feu de 1 stage. Si l'alarme à feu sonne, veuillez quitter la salle de conseil par les portes à l'arrière ou de côté et on se rejoint dans le stationnement près de l'église. En cas de problèmes médicaux, veuillez signaler le 911. L'adresse ici est le numéro 10 rue Robert-Ouest à Penetanguishene et je veux vous rappeler qu'il y a un défibrillateur public juste à l'extérieur de la caserne. Je vous souhaite une bonne soirée. Merci. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Renaud. Thank you, Brittany, for playing that. Council, moving on, number 5 is our approval agenda. We have a motion that reads that the agenda of the regular council meeting for April the 9th, 2025 be approved as presented. Moved by Councillor Marchand, seconded by Councillor Vataban-Kerr. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Council, number 6, our declaration of pecuniary interest. Any members have a declaration this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to number 7 is our open forum. Open forum is an opportunity for any member of the community to address council about things that are important to you. Madam Clerk, so if you haven't registered, I'll ask you to make your way to Madam Clerk to register. But Madam Clerk, I believe we have some individuals that have registered with you this evening.
Thank you, Your Worship. This evening, we have 4 members of the public registered for open forum, starting with Melissa Chambers, who's going to be speaking virtually.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear me?
Thank yes, welcome. You have 2 minutes and the floor is yours. Okay. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. I'm on the leadership team of the Canadians for Safe Technology. I work with Frank Clegg, former president of Microsoft Canada, and along with a team of others to educate the public on how to use technology in the safest ways possible. Although cell tower issues are not our mandate, we are inundated with people across the country on a daily basis begging us for help. So our team at the CFRST are very familiar with the ICID rules for antenna and tower placement. As I wrote to you, there are outstanding issues with the protocol as it stands right now. The first issue is the list of exemptions. Normally, ICID has certain exemptions for industry to build infrastructure without having to notify the public. The planner has graciously changed many of these, requiring industry to tell the public in certain situations what they are doing. And while they are mentioned in the highlights document, they are not listed in the protocol itself. If they are not listed, they will not be adhered to, as industry assumes they are all exempt already. The public also needs to be able to have access to the protocol from the municipal website without having to phone the planner in case there is missing information in the document. The second issue is even more important as it gives industry a loophole in placing antenna. The new draft protocol says it pertains to all telecommunications facilities. However, in the scope and land use sections and others, the language changes to telecommunications towers only. In this draft protocol, antenna without a tower do not have to comply with the setbacks for community sensitivity or public notification. So if antenna were added to the outside or inside of St. Anne's Church, for example, it would not be considered a tower as they would be attached to the building with no pole structure, allowing industry to avoid adhering to the 180-meter setbacks to areas of community sensitivity or public notification requirements. It's the same antenna beside the same school, retirement residence, and mental health facility, and the public want to be told about it, whether it's attached to a pole or not. This is an easy fix, and sticking with the words telecommunication facility throughout the document would eliminate this loophole that can be taken serious advantage of by industry. These issues can be easily fixed. Until they are, I ask that you choose to put off this vote for 1 more month so as to ensure these improvements made by the planner for the town of Penetang are represented properly in the due draft protocol document. Thank you.
That's your time. Thank you very much. All right, Madam Clerk.
Next up, we have Arlene Marchado to speak in regards to the telecommunications protocol.
Thank you very much, Arlene. Welcome. Again, 2 minutes. I'll just ask our comments, if any comments about the tower, please address them to council. I don't want any comments to our staff. So if we don't like what's written or written, please address everything to council this evening. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and councillors. So when I looked over the protocol, I asked Queen's University political science graduate what her opinion was of this, and she thought it was the working copy. And so, yeah, that speaks for itself, but it's only 7 pages long. And I looked at, I just put, what is the difference between a facility and a tower? And it clearly says on Google the difference, exactly what Melissa said, in terms of it's not a catch-all where tower is the facility or reverse of facility is the tower. It would be ideal if it was facility, which includes. So I sent the email with the 19-page policy for the city of Edmonton. Is it a different province? 100%. But you'll see the wording. One of the things that they mentioned was that there needs to be health standard in terms of regular monitoring of the radiation from, and we don't have that in our policy here. It says nothing about the health effects or any monitoring of that. And then as well, you'll see that they don't change it tower or facility for each paragraph that they're talking about. It's facility straight across the board. There's many other things that are pretty alarming about the protocol. That's and again, anytime I've spoke about this, it was told that we'll decide based on the application and what the person or the company is asking for. We will make that decision based on, and I don't think that should be the case. I think it should be pretty transparent and public with no, guessing or terminology changes kind of thing. I just had a conversation that was basically told it's too, the 19-page one's too wordy. I don't think that should be the case for our town. Whether it's 400,000 people or 4,000, I'd go with a 19-page protocol all day long. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk.
Next up is Irene Lau to discuss the telecommunications protocol.
Thank you very much. Welcome. And the floor is yours. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Council, Mayor. Again, I'm up here and slightly disappointed with Council. I'm aware that some of Council's members have outside jobs and that or interests that take their time away from the responsibilities from this paid, voted in by citizens of Penetang. But I don't think that's good enough excuse to ignore communication from the same citizens with some concerns. I personally have emailed, we'll stick with council, only to be ignored, not acknowledged, or told that council members were directed not to discuss my concerns about the cell tower protocol. Phone calls, if responded to, take days. I find this behavior to be slightly unacceptable. The concern that has been expressed by our group of informed community members about the draft protocol regarding telecommunications facilities doesn't seem to be a major issue for this council. Back in November, we were told that there is no hurry. We want to make sure we have the right protocol for this town. And then we were constantly on council and trying to get an update on what was going on. We found it in March again. I understand the 3 days, but that's still not sufficient to make sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. This protocol is not acceptable to be concerned with regards to the health of the citizens. Your children, your grandchildren. What do you do when they come home from school because a tower is too close or there hasn't been adhered to properly with the safety protocols, complaining constantly of headaches? And when they leave school, they don't have the headache. How do you explain that to them? This is about the health of this community. It's really important, and I don't understand why you seem to be pushing this through. We were given the protocol last fall. We were told by yourself, Mr. Mayor, that there was no rush to do this. And this has been feeling like to us like this is being rushed through. You have an expert in this field. You can't beat somebody stronger than Melissa, who has been very, very involved in the last 14 years. Thank you.
Last up is Connie Stewart to discuss the telecommunications protocol.
Thank you. Welcome.
Members of council?
2 minutes.
As you're well aware tonight, the draft protocol is to be ratified. This draft protocol still has members of our group asking questions and wanting clarification in some areas. We are positive that the problems that we see in the protocol can easily be rectified with the stroke of a pen. I am asking you to please postpone the ratification of this tonight of this very important item. Make the right decision here tonight and help us make a difference for our town. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, any other members register with us this evening?
That's all.
Thank you. And Brittany, is there anyone else online that wishes to address council? Thank you. Okay, council, we're going to move on number 8, the statement from members. It's an opportunity for council to share with the community the work that they're doing on behalf of the community. I'm going to start with you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. All I wanted to say is we did our regular events that we do. We were at our section meetings completing all that, but I did want to reiterate part of what you said, and a big thank you to our town, our public works, our staff. Getting through the ice storm was a major event. We had certain pockets of town that were out a lot longer than others, but it was really nice to see neighbors helping neighbors. It was good to see all the work that we got done, and all in all, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Dorush.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. My month has been busy, but it was more or less with community consultation and with some attendance to, for example, the Forum de Santé, which was put on by Shigamix. So it was a great opportunity to reach out to the community and learn about services that are offered to our residents here in Penetanguishene. But that's about it. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Councillor Dorush. Councillor Roux.
Thank you, Your Worship. March 27th, attended the museum board meeting. April 5th, attended at the Brian Orser Hall as a judge for the Lions Regional Speaking Contest. Last evening, April the 8th, I attended the Curling Club meeting, and at that meeting, the announcement was made by MPP Jill Dunlop on the Curling Club receiving an OTF grant of $21,000 for the refurbishing of their stones. And also they announced at that meeting that their annual garage sale will be held on May the 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roux. Councillor Marshall.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple things for me. Just wanted to reiterate that the wonderful work that was done by staff during the ice storm. I think we were fortunate that we weren't without power as long as some of our neighbors, but certainly, you know, different pockets of Penetanguishene, the cleanup and the trees and just the responsiveness and just a lot of really good feedback. It's great to see our public works just do everything they can to help to make our streets safe and to make sure that we, you know, are able to maneuver and make sure that, you know, emergency vehicles. It was great to see neighbors out helping each other and just really rallying together, which was really positive. So thank you to everyone, all staff, for the great work that was done. I participated in the fire review meeting with Lumix, so that was a really good information session. We're moving along with that work. And then also just wanted to just say congratulations to Penetang Minor Hockey for another really great, successful year. Attended, for me, bittersweet. My son finished his last year of rep hockey and attended the banquet last night. It is such a strong community event. We have so many volunteers and parents that make our hockey really great for our town. You know, we are amalgamating next year in terms of a new division. So it was just really nice to see all of the effort and the recognition that is put together and really emphasizes just the value of sports and our community, and to the recreation staff as well for a really great season. It was a little chilly in there last night, so it was good to see the heat got clicked on, because I tell you, we didn't expect it to be this chilly in April for the banquet, but I just wanted to highlight that we should be really proud of our hockey association as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marshall. Councillor Vadabunker.
Thank you, Worship. Just a couple of things. On Friday, I attended the Bowl for Kids event at the bowling alley and was part of the Penetanguishene team that evening. That was a lot of fun. On the ice storm, I want to just reiterate what was said earlier and thank the senior leadership team for their efforts keeping us informed. The public works staff the day of the 29th and the 30th, and then into the 1st or the 31st with respect to the cleanup. Very much appreciated, and as Councillor Marchand said, they're very visible out there, chipping branches and whatnot. I also want to thank you, Your Worship, for your intervention with Electra, because the communication was not happening from Electra until you inserted yourself and started asking some questions, and I appreciate that. And that was my concern, and concern that was expressed to me from residents that I talked to on the 30th was, where's our hydro company? And I didn't have any answers, and I didn't have cell service or very poor cell service, and I didn't have a portable radio, so I ended up hopping in my vehicle and drove around, and at least I could get the radio. And there was a little pocket in town that I could get full cell service, so all my emails and communication dumped into my phone. So that's where I saw that you were trying to get information from Electra. So I know that Electra sent an email out to their customers that have subscribed to emails on the 4th. And it's basically thanking us for our patience. But at the very end, they've outlined that there's a survey, and there's a hyperlink there that people can click on and complete the survey. And I'm suggesting and recommending that people take the time to complete the survey so that Electra has the opportunity to hear what the residents of Penetanguishene feel about how the outage was handled, in particular the communication. And Your Worship, way back when Barrie Hydro, the predecessor to Electra, purchased Penetanguishene Hydro, they used to come and make a presentation to Penetanguishene Council and just give an update in terms of what was happening in the community in terms of improvements and enhancements. And I thought as an idea, and maybe I'll raise it under Committee of the Whole, under referrals, is that we invite Electra to our council meeting, and just to give us an update, not only on the events of the ice storm, but just generally in terms of their activities in Penetanguishene and the services that they provide. So, as I said, I'll raise that on the referrals. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Vadabunker. CEO Lees.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to reiterate some of the things I heard from members of council, and that's with respect to the ice storm. I was away for a good part of the month, or I guess almost 2 weeks of the past month, and that timing unfortunately fell on the ice storm timing. But as members of council has noted, I think this community was in great hands with our leadership team. We had members of our leadership team, our middle management, and our frontline team doing things that no one in the general public would know. Sleeping in our facilities, driving from their home, leaving their families, not knowing what's happening with their families, to simply get cell coverage or cell service to stay in tune with what's happening here in this community. Watching our facilities and our infrastructure 24 hours around the clock. So, really exceptional in terms of, where this community fell from a priority lens for our team. And I say our team with a capital T, because it fell right across the entire organization. So, Your Worship, that's really what I wanted to reiterate. And I know it's not news to members of council, but I think it's worthy of reiterating. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, CEO Lees, and thank you everyone for your comments. If I can just tug a little more on the emergency, our staff was so well connected, and again, if they weren't at home, they got connected. I know people in the community asked why we didn't declare it an emergency. I participated in emergency planning with our senior team on Monday, and Monday at 2 o'clock, our team said we're basically back to normal operations. I'm not saying everyone had power. I'm saying as an organization, we were back to normal operations. There was no need as a community for us to declare it as a state of emergency as other communities because we were back to normal operations on Monday. But to CO Lee's comment, this team stepped up and did what they needed to do to make things happen. So I know I was in constant contact and I had the feedback, and everyone here was dealing with their own trials, but thank you again for what you did. Some other happenings for me. So we mentioned in the past as well, the South Georgian Bay OPP Detachment Board is now in operation. We've had 2 OPP Detachment Board meetings in the last month, and we're making some tremendous progress. I think it's taking shape and taking form. We still are waiting for a couple provincial appointees. So if there's anybody paying attention, watching, tuning in, we're still looking for 2 provincial appointees to the board. All of our other spots have been filled by the 5-member municipalities. I have the privilege of serving on that board as the chair this term. This past little while, we did just appoint our first board administrator. This council would know Mr. De Bruin, who previously did some volunteer work with our town on work on this, has been appointed as that administrator on behalf of our board. So we're well situated moving forward from the governance side of the OPP board. I also participated in the fire service review that Councillor Marchand mentioned. I participated in the Ontario Association of Police Service Board Zone 3 meeting in the last little while. And again, the conversations we had about emergency planning. So lots of good works happening on your behalf, and proud to work with everybody that makes Penetanguishene the best. Okay, we're going to move on. Number 9 is our public meeting. We have none this evening. 10 is delegations and presentations. We have 3. We're going to start with our first one's a check presentation, and I believe it's time. I think it's Councillor Daru and Councillor Marchand. I think everyone else got on the other one. So I'll ask if you can join me for this check presentation for the Penetanguishene Garden Club. The Penetanguishene Community Garden Club is celebrating a significant milestone this year. Pretty remarkable. I'll let you share that. But this is remarkable, the great work that's done in the community, making our community a vibrant place. And I know everyone salutes and honors and respects the work that you do on behalf of the community. A small token from our council and community to you on behalf of the community grants is $1,000 for the work that you do. And thank you for all you do to make this town as gorgeous and vibrant it is. And again, I can't thank enough, but please tell everybody the great work and the tremendous milestone you're celebrating this year.
Okay. On behalf of the Penetanguishene Garden Club, I want to express our deepest gratitude to the town of Penetanguishene for your generous annual grant of $1,000. Your support has been a vital part of our ability to operate. I mean, we get fewer members every year, and without it, we couldn't keep going on. This year marks an incredible milestone for our club as we celebrate 100 years of gardening. We're having a little get together in a week and a half, and 70 people are coming out to party. So that's going to be really exciting. And I think just to see 70 people in a meeting together talking about gardening and everything that's going on in Penetanguishene, from the cenotaph to the Cancer Support Center to the entrance gardens, they're continuing to grow and bloom. And it's all because we've got volunteers that love to do it. So thank you very much for your support. Okay.
Now, how many flowers did we plant in those 100 years? That's for next time.
And we planted 800 daffodils, cancer support.
Wow.
And out of that entrance garden, over 350 per inch.
So 1,800. Wow. Amazing. Great work. Again, thank you. And again, volunteerism was what the community is all about. And this community is so special due to all the volunteers that make the community so special. So thank you so much. Moving on to our second presentation. It's a presentation from the North Simcoe Community Futures Development Corporation. I want to welcome the General Manager, Kevin Culhane, and Lois Irvin, the Client Care Coordinator. Thank you so much for being here. We're looking forward to hearing and learning more. And I'll let you know if we can keep it to 10 minutes. I'd appreciate that.
Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, thank you very much for having us tonight. So I'm here with Lois Irvin. She's our Client Care Coordinator. Lois is celebrating her 25th year with our company this week, actually. So Lois, thank you for joining us. And yeah, I'm Kevin Culhane. I'm the General Manager of North Simcoe Community Futures Development Corporation, and we're glad to be here. Tonight's focus will be on our community impact and how we can partner to strengthen our local economy. North Simcoe Community Futures, sorry, the second one, has been serving the North Simcoe area since 1986, helping businesses grow with funding, coaching, and resources, with services offered in both English and French. This ensures that we are accessible and inclusive, meeting the diverse needs of our community. We focus on fostering community-driven development, job creation, and sustainable business practices. North Simcoe Community Futures values collaboration with municipalities, businesses, and community organizations. By working together, we ensure that businesses have the resources they need to succeed and the community benefits from their growth. Our goal is to continue expanding our impact through partnerships with local governments and other organizations, ensuring sustainable regional development. Through programs like business coaching and access to loans, North Simcoe Community Futures helps business create jobs, generate income, and strengthen the local economy. By supporting these businesses, we're investing in the long-term economic sustainability for North Simcoe. We've worked with thousands of businesses in the region, helping them navigate the challenges of starting, growing, or transitioning a business. Let me share a success story that highlights the real impact of our programs. This story showcases how, with the right support, a vision can turn into a thriving business that not only benefits the entrepreneur, but also gives back to the community. Chris Walsh spent 17 years in hospitality before deciding to open Hemingway's Barbershop, combining his love for the craft with a desire to create a community space. Recognizing the challenges of starting a business, he turned to us for guidance and support, receiving both coaching and a startup loan. With these resources, Chris was able to get his vision, to life and launch Hemingway's Barbershop. Hemingway's is now a thriving business in downtown Midland, a testament to Chris's hard work and our support. Beyond just running a successful business, Hemingway's is actively involved in the community, sponsoring local sports teams and participating in charity events. Chris has also paid it forward by referring other new business owners to us, showing how the program's impact continues to ripple through the community. In 2025, we're looking to expand our impact with new programs and events that support entrepreneurs at every stage of their journey. Here's a few concepts we're exploring. The first is a Side Hustle Success Program, which helps individuals transform their side hustles into thriving businesses. Secondly, Women Entrepreneurs, the Intensive Growth Program, which empowers women with mentorship and resources to scale their business. And finally, a Small Business Expo and Conference, which connects local entrepreneurs to showcase products, gain insights, and grow their networks. We're asking for your support to help further our mission of supporting business in North Simcoe. You can help us by promoting our services in your network and raising awareness about the resources we offer. Please encourage potential business owners to reach out to us. A financial contribution would allow us to expand our programs and help us support even more entrepreneurs. So in wrapping up, the work we do at North Simcoe Community Futures has a direct positive impact on business and the community. By partnering with us, you're helping to create jobs, grow businesses, and ensure a sustainable future for North Simcoe. We're here to help our region thrive. Together, we can make a lasting difference. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you very much for your presentation and being here tonight. Council, any comments or questions? Thank you so much. We appreciate your participation and being here and presenting to us tonight.
Thanks
Thank you
again.
so much. Thank you. Okay, Council, we're going to move on to our next presentation, and it's a presentation regarding our Environmental Services Supervisor Wastewater Annual Report from Mr. Mark Schardebaugh. Thank you. Mark, thank you for being here with us tonight. While you make your way to the podium, I want to extend my thanks, as we did to our senior team who are here. Thank you to you and your team. I know equally as much you and your team were away from your family. You had the same challenge as everyone else, and you kept our system safe and operating as norms. So on behalf of council and the community, thank you again for the work that you do every day, and especially over the last couple weeks.
Well, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure. I have a great team backing me up, and can't say enough good about them. But yeah, we handled it pretty well. We've got a fair amount of experience down at the plant, so things went well. So I'm pretty proud of the crew. Thank you. So anyway, this is the 2024 annual report. This is probably the biggest thing you're worried about, right? We did have some issues last year with odor. Our odor control system's been a problem for a few months, and we're working closely with the vendor, trying to get them up here from the USA. That's been a bit of a challenge, but we're working on it. We're planning on getting that rectified this year, early this year, hopefully. Brian and I have been working closely with the vendor. But anyway, let's get on with the show here. So both plants ran very well in 2024 with only 2 minor regulatory compliance issues for suspended solids. That's for the Fox Street plant due to tertiary filtration issues. That's typical. You usually have 1 or 2 minor exceedances per year. Effluent loadings to the bay were well below the regulatory limits and the SSEA, the Severn Sound Association objectives. Main Street flows were down a little bit last year, almost 1%. Fox Street flows were down about 5%. Both plants are still running a fair amount below the rated capacity of the plants. No bypasses or overflows for last year. And again, I mentioned here, we had some issues with the biosolid system. We've had a few odor complaints, I think, that came in today as well. So I hear. We've had a lot of issues with that system in the last 10 years since it was put in. One of the biggest problems is loading. We don't have enough food to feed this system. So we're looking at different options there. We still have our old backup system in place, so that could be an option as well until we get this system fixed. Anyway, all federal and provincial reporting requirements were submitted. Next slide, please. These charts show bypass going all the way back to 1974, and you can see the hours in 1975 are 2,779 hours of raw bypasses, hours, I should say. Compared to the last few years, we haven't had a bypass in 11 years since the last expansion. 0 hours last year, 0 hours for the last 3 years. I mean, that's a great improvement. This is largely due to the stormwater equalization tank that was put in with the last expansion. Basically, that tank sits empty, waiting for a storm. And when we have a storm event, we fill that tank, take a lot of pressure off the plant. Then we can slowly trickle it through during lower flows. There was 3 sewer collection spill incidents last year at the Main Street plant. We had 6 the year before that, 2023. It's some type of a solvent product. This has been going on for a few years. There's not much we can do but turn up the air. We contain it so it doesn't go out into the bay. So we trap it, and it's very volatile. We can burn the chemical off with increased aeration. And the roads crew have been trying to figure out where this stuff's been coming from for a few years. So they still haven't pinpointed it, but I think they're narrowing it down. That just shows that Main Street plant treats about 76% of the total flows. Fox Street treats the remaining 24% roughly. The super jail flows to the Fox Street plant. Waypoint has their own treatment plant there that they just modified a few years ago after our last expansion. So the flows at Main Street, they're still fairly low. They're similar to what we saw in the 1980s. So probably a fair distance off before we have to expand again. Fox Street flows started to decrease a little bit last year. We did work on some sewers on Fox Street, trying to reduce combined sewers, and that's ongoing. Next slide, please. Sludge to land program, the sludge haulage and land application is currently contracted with Region Huronia Environmental Services. They've been really good to deal with over the years. They do Midland and a lot of the area plants. And you're speaking about like the ice storm incident. Like these guys were working around the clock for different townships and dump sites trying to keep up to leachate and stuff like that. These guys have been really good to deal with over the years. They bend over backwards for us. All biosolid samples of sludge were well within provincial regulations for metals, all the samples that we took. And Main Street is capable of producing a Class A biosolids in the new ATAD system. These slides, the one on the left, show sludge haulage trends since 2010. And you can see the line in the middle there where it says post-main STP upgrades. So we were hauling about 260 trucks per year back towards 2010. As opposed to now we're about 142 trucks a year. There's been quite a reduction in volume because we're thickening the sludge now. We're taking some of the water out, concentrating it, takes less footprint on your site. But basically, since the expansion, our volumes have gone down. And the graph on the right shows how much we've been spending. Like years ago, back towards 2013, we're over 250,000 a year. That included lagoon rental. And then in 2024, we're down to just shy of $100,000 a year. So we're saving a lot of money with reduced haulage. Hydro cost, you can see pre and post STP upgrades at Main Street. We were spending, just shy of 200,000 back in 2010. And after the expansion, we were upwards of $500,000 a year in hydro. So the new systems came with a lot of new equipment. So we optimized over the years, and you can see we shut down one of the ATADs because, like I was saying, we don't really have enough food to feed two, let alone one. I mean, so after shutting one of the ATADs in 2021, we've saved more money, and we're spending just shy of $300,000 a year in hydro. Maintenance and calibrations, regular preventative and corrective maintenance was conducted on all the plant equipment. We use a computerized main boss system to manage our maintenance program. All critical alarms are tested regularly, bypass alarms, high-level sensors, safety-related alarms. All the safety inspections were performed on the required lifting equipment, confined space equipment. Gas detections were verified and calibrated twice last year, I believe, for the explosion-proof rooms at the Main Street plant. Just showing some pictures of some of the newer equipment since the last expansion there. Next slide, please. Sewage pump stations, we operate, we've been doing that for quite a few years. So prior to us taking it over, Public Works, roads crew used to look after the station. So we look after Jennings Drive, Robert Street West, Beck Boulevard, Navy Lane, and Belil pump stations. They're running pretty good. We didn't have any overflows or bypasses last year. And that's the pump stations there. Our oldest station is Robert Street West Pump Station, 1977 that was put in. We're looking at putting that on the capital program soon to upgrade that a little bit. There's a lot of original equipment in there. And one of the newest stations is Navy Lane. We just rebuilt that whole station in 2018. So they're all running good, no problems. And that's the crew. Pat Leclerc has got 33 years experience. He's been in the field for years. He's a great operator. All four of us have our Class 3 wastewater treatment license. Dave Murray, he has 15 years this year. Laura, I believe, is into her 12th year overall experience between Manitoba and Ontario. And I've been here for 32 years, I think, this summer. So it's been a while. I've done a couple of co-ops here before that. I had a 4-month and an 8-month co-op. So 33 years. I think that's it. Conserve our waters. Any questions?
Mark, thank you again for your presentation. I was just saying to the deputy at County Council this week, some of the conversation was the amount of overflows and mishaps and discharges into Georgian Bay. And, it's kind of like municipalities going against municipalities, and we're fortunate the situation we're in. I'm also amazed at the level of expertise and high-level stuff that I'll never understand. But thank you to you and your team that manage what we have and for the work everyone does. So thank you again. Council, comments or questions? Councillor Vedabunker.
Thank you, Worship. Thanks again, Mark, for your presentation. I always look forward to this presentation every year. Nice to see no bypasses at the plants or at the sewage pumping station. Good work by the team. And as you said, the team were busy through the ice storm there, making sure that the generators were working and everything was working fine. Again, thank you. I do have a question, though, and that has to do with the combined sewers. So I'm going to direct that to Director Murray, if I may, just with respect to the combined sewers. And Mark outlined some of the benefits in his presentation this evening, and I was just wondering if the director can elaborate a little bit on terms of what the program is to continue to separate those combined sewers going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can say for the last 15 years that I've been in this role, that our reconstruction program has separated kilometers of separated or combined sewers that we've had in the municipality, whether it be the Main Street reconstruction program that went a long way to reducing a lot of the flows or extraneous flows that Mark was speaking of during his presentation. Also, the Jeffrey Street reconstruction that we did back in 2011 and the associated side streets, that was all on combined sewers for many years. So that helps to address a lot of the extraneous flows that we get at the Main Street plant during the storm events. We're by far not done. The work continues, and we're continuing to focus, and our reconstruction program within the 10-year capital plan continues to focus on separating those sewers.
Good, Councillor Vedabunker. Follow up.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. And Director Murray elaborated a little further at our section meeting with respect to some of the plans going forward with that. I know you said at the end there a very general statement, but could you give Council a little bit of an idea just what some of those projects are that you have planned for the future?
Certainly, through you, Mr. Chair. We do have a project this year, which is a relining project on Fox Street. So that'll help reline the existing sanitary sewer for a portion of the sanitary sewer along Fox Street. We've done a lot of flow monitoring over the last 2 or 3 years. That indicates there's a lot of infiltration getting into those sewers and taking up a lot of our capacity at Fox Street. And so by lining the sewers and sealing them off, we can eliminate a lot of that extraneous flows. For next year's capital program, we have the Peel Street reconstruction from Robert Street East to Brock Street. And there's also a section of sanitary sewer that's also combined in that stretch as well. Also going into the future, we have Lucy Street, which is the year after, which portions of that are also cross-connected as well.
Thank you, Brian. Councilor Bevan, follow-up.
Yes, just a comment, and the deputy mayor would know this because he's said this statement in the past, is just with respect to it's a lot cheaper to invest in separating the sewers than to build additional capacity at the sewage treatment plant. And as Mark has indicated, we still have lots of capacity, and those projects that the directors just outlined will help reduce the extraneous flows to those plants. So thank you very much, Director Murray.
Thank you very much, Mark. Again, thank you on behalf of the community for all the work that you and your team do. Have a good night. All right, Council, we're going to move on. Number 11 is our adoption minutes not already confirmed. Before I read the motion, any comments or questions on the minutes? Okay. Motion reads that the minutes of the council be confirmed and adopted as circulated for council March the 12th, 2025. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councilor Roux. We'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Number 12 is our consent agenda. Before I read this one, I just want to outline what this is about tonight. During our last meeting, our committee of the whole, there was questions raised regarding our telecommunication notice policy. It was asked of our director if she could kindly respond to those questions. So this is a memo of response to those. This is not approval. This is a communication from the director back to council about what those questions were that members of the public asked of us. So that's what this is. It's the response to those. So council, comments or questions? Okay, seeing none. The motion reads that the following consent agenda items have been given due consideration, be received for information. We have one item. I'm going to look for a mover, please. Moved by Councilor Marchand, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. I want to thank you, Director Betty, for your work on that. I know it's challenging to navigate, and I know you got a lot of things coming away, but thank you for giving us the information to help us make informed decisions. And again, I know you've done a lot of work on this, so thank you for guiding and providing that, and for the way that was provided to us. So thank you so much. Okay, we're moving on to 13 matters for consideration. The first one's regarding the South Georgian Bay Chamber of Commerce agreement. Council, this is before us tonight, as opposed to going through committee of the whole. It's just been a lot of competing interest to get this agreement to the final state. Here we are with our agreement ready to ratify. So we brought it directly to council tonight instead of through committee of the whole, just to go through normal channel and due diligence. Before I read the motion, does anybody want to pull this for further comments or questions? Okay, seeing none. The motion reads that the draft agreement between the corporation of the town of Penetanguishene and the Southern Georgian Bay Chamber of Commerce be approved as presented in attachment number 1, and that the CEO and Director of Recreation and Community Services are hereby authorized to make minor alterations to the agreement that does not substantially change its content. And finally, that the clerk bring forward the necessary bylaw for council approval. I'll look for a mover, please. Councilor Marchand, second by Councilor Roux. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. B's regarding our Midland Penetanguishene transit system proposed fare increases. Before we read this motion, any comments or questions from any members of council? Councilor Marchand.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to thank our staff for really doing due diligence on looking at the transit increases, and that we're going to continue to ensure that our seniors in Penetanguishene have free ridership. I think that was really important. I do feel that perhaps this wasn't, increases that were done by the town of Midland, perhaps were not done collectively. And I feel that I'm just really proud and happy. It took us a lot of time to get to the point where we had free ridership for seniors, and it really has, been really important and made an impact. And I'm happy to see that we're going to continue to honor that.
Thank you, Councillor Marchand. Any other? Councillor Vandenbunker.
Thank you, Worship. Just a question, Your Worship, with respect to how this the fare increase will be communicated to the public.
Thank you for the question. I'm going to turn that to Director Murray.
Thank you, through Your Worship, to Councillor Vandenbunker. Should this fare increase be ratified, we would be advertising the fare increase through our usual social media channels. Posting notice on our transit buses to make our ridership aware of these fare increases.
Thank you, Director Murray. Any other comments or questions? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Brian, when you sit on that committee, is there any chance that you could give them an idea to quit doing what they're doing? The town of Midland comes forth, I believe it was a year and a half ago, we're making ridership for seniors free. They don't bother to communicate that to us in advance. It would just be nice for the communications to go out the same. So when they've changed theirs, now they're asking us to do it again. Could you ask them in the future that we collaborate that together before this comes to this point?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Director Murray.
Through Your Worship, to the Deputy Mayor LaRose, yes, certainly we could definitely emphasize that going forward at our transit committee meetings. I know the fare increase was proposed, and I know the Midland Council did do a change at the meeting itself relating to the fare for seniors. Which wasn't the staff at the time wasn't aware of. So I know that was a change that Midland staff wasn't aware of. So, but definitely I can relay that going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Murray. Any other comments or questions by any members of council? I have a couple of questions. Maybe the CEO, you can help. My first one's about the agreement between the town of Midland and the town of Penetanguishene for the facilitation of our transit service. I'm just wondering if there's any language in the agreement that speaks to we'll call it mid-year changes to the fee schedule and how that's communicated and adopted. And my second question is, do we have any indication what this will result in a revenue? So we've already established the budget for this year. I would argue that the cost to operate transit for our municipality, we've already funded that through the budget process. And I would argue that this isn't going to make a difference to our budget process. We may get extra revenue, but that won't make a difference on our budget amount. So I'm just interested in learning a little bit about that, if you don't mind sharing with us.
Your Worship, thank you. So the agreement itself, Director Murray pulled the agreement this afternoon. It does speak to the establishment of fares for the system, but it doesn't specify notice period. And really it speaks to that would be identified through the budget process and set in place through a user fee and charge bylaw. So, unfortunately, the agreement doesn't specify requirements in terms of notice, but I think the sentiment this evening that we've heard, as Director Murray touched on, we will certainly take that back to our friends at the Town of Midland through the committee, the joint committee, because I think there's an opportunity to be collaborative and work together moving forward with these sorts of proposals for the benefit of both communities. With respect to the second question on the revenue estimate. We've looked at it just simply from an estimate perspective. It's tough to pinpoint. What we would say is we anticipate the impact to be less than $10,000, probably closer to $5,000, but in that $5,000 to $10,000 range as it relates to the increases you see here. Certainly staff can do more work should committee wish or should council wish in the future, but we do anticipate in the grand scheme of things it being negligible and insignificant when you look at the grand scheme of the transit budget. As it relates to what that means for us, it's really at the end of the day, that would just be an impact. It would really just see an increase in revenue as it relates to what we've budgeted should these fares be implemented. Hopefully those answers address your questions.
Thank you very much, Elise. Any other comments or questions by members of council? I hope we can defeat this motion tonight. Councillor Marchand, I agree with what you started with tonight about keeping the fares at zero for seniors, but I'd argue every other user, whether the fare is 25 cents or $2.25, it's still an increase. I'm disappointed to your comments, Deputy Mayor LaRose, that this, just like a couple years ago, there was no collaboration between the town of Midland and the town of Penetanguishene. We're the customer. We buy a service from the town of Midland, and we didn't go through a normal process. We did, through our budgetary process this year, funded transit the way we did. At no time we talk about fare changes, which would have a direct effect on our revenue. And midstream, the town of Midland changed the rules of engagement, want us to align the fee schedule so it's the same as Midland to keep it uniform. And there was little to no consultation with us, hence why it's coming to us directly through council tonight to have it implemented by May 1st. Again, we've already costed this year and budgeted out. It has no impact on us as a community. I would argue let's defeat this motion and let our residents use the service as it is today, which we've already funded for this year. So I'll leave my comments at that. I'll read the motion, we'll look for mover second, and then we'll call for the vote. So the motion reads that the proposed changes to the fare card purchase price and transit fare structure effective May 1st, 2025, as outlined within the staff report ENG 2025-08 be approved, and that staff bring forward an amendment to the composite fee bylaw for council approval. I'll look for a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Vadabonker, seconded by Councillor DeRush. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. Moving on to C, it's regarding our Harbour Point Phase 3 security reduction. Council, before I read this, any comments or questions? Seeing none, the motion reads that the security being held for Phase 3 of the Harbour Point development be reduced from $616,898.13 to $355,810.56 in accordance with the subdivision agreement. I'm going to look for a mover. Moved by Councillor Marchand, seconded by Councillor Vadabonker. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. Council D's board and committee appointments. Before I read this motion, does anybody have further comments or questions? Motion reads the following appointments to the Penetanguishene boards and committees be approved effective immediately for the remainder of the term. Committee of Adjustment, Todd Rogers. Trails Committee, Emmeline Sharp and Judith Holland. Wellness and Accessibility Committee, Emmeline Sharp. I'll look for a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Roux, second by Councillor Marchand. Call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Okay, E. This is a new item that we published on the agenda this afternoon. So if you didn't have an opportunity to read it before now, it's because we just learned of this today. So Council, if you can indulge me for a second, I'll just share a little bit about my thought, and then what I'd like to do is open up for all members of Council to provide some feedback. Today, the province of Ontario announced that they're extending strong mayor powers to 169 municipalities across the province, of which the town of Penetanguishene is one of those municipalities that have been named to receive expanded strong mayor powers across the province. There's an open comment period, open until April the 16th, where municipalities, members of the public can respond to the province with your sentiments about these new expanded powers. So we have a week to respond. And then the new powers, if enforced after that date, will come in force on May the 1st, so before our next council meeting. I've said all along that I personally don't support this. I believe my voice and my vote is no stronger than any one or two people at this table. I believe this council table, I think we've demonstrated we reflect the community. I think as a team, we represent the community well. And I believe strongly that the community has sent a group of people to represent your interests for the community. I think this new expanded powers is actually scary. I think it's frightening. I think it's inappropriate. I think it's not accountable. I personally won't use it. I wanted to talk about it tonight. I think we need to be open about that. But I think this is a council decision. I think everything we've done is a council decision. I think the difference is I get to be the voice for what council decides, and whatever direction our council goes on, my role is to really express that to the community at large. So council, this again fell on us today, and we've already heard in the last couple of weeks, I would argue, some sentiment by community members in other communities where they feel that there may be perceived abuse of power. And I think that could be inappropriate. I think from the mantra from the province talking about expanded powers help build more homes. I think back to this term and even last terms, what new homes could we have built if this council didn't meet? I would argue I don't know of any that we could have done any faster. I think of our staff, and we started tonight talking about the tremendous work our team did during the ice storm. And I highlight that in the last 2 weeks, but I say that every month. Every month we celebrate something that our staff did a great job with. And CO Lees mentioned that he was away. And while he was away, the team still got the job done, and my hat's off to the work they do. But how scary is it to the team now to know that some person can unilaterally decide your employment future, just on a whim? And I think the ability that these powers exert to provide that is scary and unaccountable. Council, so we've added the letter we received from the minister today for your review and the public's review, and that's why we republished this afternoon, along with a public release, as well as the list of the municipalities with the expanded powers. What I would suggest is, because time's of the essence, if you would indulge, I think we should all give some feedback. And then Madam Clerk and CO Lees, I hope if we can provide some feedback that you could take that information back, and hopefully in due course before the 16th, you could frame that in a response back to the ministry during the deadline by April 16th. And then council, the second piece is, how do we respond from here? Let's assume May 1st, these powers come in force. What do we do? How do we move forward? I've told you my feeling, but I think we should all comment. What I would like to suggest is I'd like to see if we can have staff take it back. Let's get a little bit of a legal opinion from staff. What are our options? Like, can we go left or can we go right? And let's get some ideas on how can we respond. That's what my thought is, but I again, like always, I think we've made some really good decisions together. And I think if you look back to our time, I think every decision we've made, we've reflected and done what's in the best interest of this community. And I think this is no different. So Deputy Mayor, I'd like to start with you, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would say you articulated that very well. When we see some of the drama that's going on in our local neighbors that are having some issues with this exact issue, it is very scary. It's very undemocratic, in my opinion. When we had discussed it a little bit earlier, I've been here for a while, and if this was about building homes, Councillor Vadabon, Councillor Leroux would remember, whenever we had a big issue that a developer needed, there was a special call made, you showed up, you had the meeting, you did your stuff. I don't believe any council in the last 30 years has ever held up building a house, doing something like that. So for the province to come out and say that that's what this is about, I'm not buying that. I think it would be a very bad thing for democracy. I think it would be bad for council. I think it's a bad idea all the way around.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. We'll go Councillor Vadabunker, Councillor Marchand, Councillor Roux, and Councillor Rush, just somewhere queued up. We'll get you go after Councillor Roux if you don't mind. Councillor Vadabunker.
Thank you, Worship. I won't repeat what you said and what the Deputy Mayor covered. I think you covered it very, very well. I share those sentiments. When this first came in for the handful of municipalities initially, I was opposed to this. I thought, as the Deputy Mayor said, it was an affront to democracy in Ontario. It was introducing an American style of municipal governance into Ontario, which I viewed as being completely unnecessary. I think that municipalities have demonstrated when they need to, they can act quickly. And I don't see this being of any benefit at all. And again, I'll stop there, Your Worship, because I think you and the Deputy Mayor covered it very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vadbonker. Councillor Mershon.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would echo the same sentiments, and I appreciate the opportunity to have the power. You feel strongly that we are working collectively as a team, and I think that's really important. And, we talk a lot about the productivity of our council because we respect each other around this table. We listen to each other. We hear different opinions, and that's part of the system of representing our beautiful town. We hear different perspectives. We run in different circles, or we're part of different pieces, so we're hearing a lot of different things, and we're able to bring those voices collectively and have those discussions. I think that really erodes that ability that we have a more open dialogue, transparency. There's a lot of work that's been done to have engagement from our community and continue to hear those voices. Those voices get muted when one individual has the power to just make a decision. That really does take away the beauty of democracy and the ability to hear feedback in our community, come back and share it, and vote for or against different motions that come here. And I think that is all part of those pieces. So I really struggle. I've struggled ever since this was brought forward, and it is not specific enough because it does give an extreme amount of power to one individual. And I think we've shared it tonight. We've seen it recently, and there's a lot more at play here than just building houses and moving housing along from that perspective. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Mershon. Councillor Roux.
Thank you, Your Worship. My feeling is the same. I don't see a need to having it for Penetanguishene or this council. And as you well know, over the years, Councillor or Deputy Mayor LaRose and I have been here for a little while. And we have gone through the whole routine, and we've always been fortunate that we always have a very cohesive council, and I think we have that as well right now. So I'm certainly not in favor of it, and whatever else, you explained it very well on my behalf.
Thank you, Councillor Roux. Councillor DeRush.
Thank you so much. I too echo everyone's comments, and I strongly disagree with the strong mayor powers regulation. So I think we're unanimous in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor DeRush. I'm going to turn to Madam Clerk. I sense you have enough from council between you and the CEO. We could craft a response back to the ministry by the April 16th deadline, or do we need anything further?
Absolutely, we have enough. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, Council. Thank you for that. I think we do a great job representing our community, and I believe in the process wholeheartedly. I believe in participation and accountability. We dropped this on the agenda today because we want you to know about this today, and we don't want to wait till next month because a lot of people are saying, what's going on between last time and this time? I'll commit to you today, May 1st and May 2nd till next meeting, we won't be doing crazy things. This council will decide our move forward, but that's what this motion is going to speak to, providing this feedback. And then we'll look to staff to come back with what are some options as we move forward, and let's get some legal opinion on what can we do and can't we do, and how do we craft this to protect the best interests of this community and this council to reflect your needs. Council, the motion reads that staff be directed to provide council's comments to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing through the Ontario Regulatory Registry for the proposed expansion of the strong mayor powers regulation by the deadline of April 16, 2025. And the staff report back to council at the June 11, 2025 meeting outlining the considerations for implementation with legal review. I'm going to look for a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Roux, second by Councillor Marchand. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? and that is carried. And I'm sure, Madam Clerk, we can make that reflect that with unanimous support by this council. Okay, moving on, 14 is our presentation and consideration report. I've said this before, after council meets, we move into committee of the whole. Committee of the whole is the opportunity for council to hear different items before them, and then they come forward the following month for the council to hear it, make amendments, changes, or approve, or do a number of procedural aspects. That's what we're going to move into now. So it's what we discussed at last meeting. And I'll ask the chairs of each committee to present their report. Okay, so this is in reference to our March the 12th Committee of the Whole. I'm going to ask Councillor Vadabon-Kerr if you can lead us off with the Transportation Environmental Services section report, please.
Thank you, Worship, and thanks to the Deputy Mayor who chaired the section meeting in March, because I was remote that month. So at the meeting, we dealt with 3 consent items, the 2023 Ontario Urban Transit Fact Book, the computerized maintenance system update, which is a new work order system, a new management system that the town is looking to implement, and the DWQMS management review minutes from our water division. We had 1 item for consideration, and that was the crosswalk line painting for events, and that was a referral item that came forward. The recommendation that is before council is that 8 intersections be budgeted for through the 2026 budget process, and then from the decision of council to when the budget gets prepared, staff will evaluate the options and using the recommended list of locations, bring forward a further report to firm locations and designs for installation of 2026. So basically what we did is just narrow the scope of the number of intersections, and then staff will review and come back with further recommendations, but that'll be part of the 2026 budget process. There were 2 existing referrals, the septage disposal and treatment resolution, and the pedestrian crosswalk paintings, and there were no new referrals. Both those items can stay on because they still have not been resolved. And that's it, Your Worship. In terms of the section highlights, I'm going to move that council approve the recommendations from the March 12th Transportation Environmental Services section as presented, and I believe the Deputy Mayor is seconding that motion.
Thank you very much, Council. So we have a motion that's been presented with a mover and seconder. Anybody wish to pull anything for further comments or consideration? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Councillor Roux, the Recreation Community Services, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Recreation Community Services for March 12, 25, there were 3 items on the consent agenda. 1, the Museum and Heritage Advisory Committee meetings for January 9th, 25. 2, there was a Library Board meeting minutes for January 27, 25. And thirdly, the memo from the Recreation Supervisor on All Things Canadian Festival for July 26, 25. There were also 3 matters for consideration. 1 was the Penetanguishene Centennial Museum and Archives Strategic Plan. 2, the Skate Park Report and Recommendation. And 3rd, the Cycle for Hope collaboration. So it was moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor LaRose that the recommendations contained within the Committee of the Whole report related to the Recreation and Community Services section be approved.
Thank you very much, Councillor Roux. Thank you very much, Councillor. Anybody wish to pull anything further comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. Councillor DeRush, Planning and Development Services section, please.
The Planning and Community Development Services section had 2 consent agenda items. These were the Nuisance and Loitering Bylaw Report and the Bylaw Monthly Memo. There was 1 matter for consideration, and that was the revised telecommunications notice policy. It was recommended that Council approve the revised draft telecommunication tower notice protocol in accordance with staff report PL-2025-11. 1 referral item was removed from the upcoming agenda, and that was the user fee item. As the chair of the Planning and Community Development Services section, I move the motion, and I will need a seconder for that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Darush, and Deputy Mayor is going to second that motion. Does anybody wish to pull anything for further comments or questions? Councillor Vadabunker.
Thank you, Worship. Can we pull the telecommunications policy?
Sure can. Anybody wish to pull anything else for further comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll vote on the remaining, and we'll come back to the telecommunication. We'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Councillor Vadabunker, the telecommunications policy.
Thank you, Worship. Just a question to the Director. With respect to the comments that were received at our last meeting on March 12th, were any changes made to the policy that was on the agenda on March 12th?
Thank you. Madam Director?
Thank you very much. Through you, Mr. Chair, to Councillor Vadabunker. No, there was no other changes made to the policy that was presented at the March meeting based on the feedback we received that night from residents at Open Forum. Just the memo that was presented to Council tonight responding to their questions.
Thank you, Madam Director. Councillor Vadabunker, follow up?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. So the policy that was in the agenda with all the track changes and whatnot, that's the one that technically that Council would be considering tonight?
Madam Director?
Thank you very much. Yes, that is correct. I'm remiss in, there was one inadvertent admission from the track changes policy that was reported in the staff report. It just didn't carry forward in the track changes, is that distance of 180 meters will be revised throughout it. It was unintentionally missed from the track changes, but is in the final version that Council is considering.
Thank you, Madam Director. Further comments or questions? Okay. Madam Clerk, we're just going to vote on this policy on its, okay. So Council, the remaining telecommunication notice policy that was pulled for further comment, we'll vote on this separate. So we'll look for a mover on this policy. Councilor Vadabunker, are you probably happy to move that? Okay, I'll look for a seconder, please. Deputy Mayor LaRose, further comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. Councillor Marchand. Finance and Corporate Services, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. For Finance and Corporate Services, we had one item under the consent agenda, and that was the Service Excellent Update Award from Human Resources. We had two items for consideration. One was the Advisory Committee Work Plan Approval for 2025. The second was the Capital Surplus Carry Forward for 2025. There was no new items added for referral for our section. That was our section. I am moving that the recommendations contained within the Committee of the Whole report related to Finance and Corporate Services section be approved. I do need a seconder for that.
Thank you very much. And second by Councillor Root. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. Thank you, Council. Moving on, 15 is a presentation. Consideration reports for special committees. Notice or motions of which notice has previously been given. We have none. Do any members of council wish to present a notice of motion this evening? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to 18 is our bylaws. Before I read the bylaws, anybody wish to pull them for further comments? Okay. The bylaws read that the following bylaws be enacted as bylaws of the town of Penetanguishene. Bylaw 2025-11 being a bylaw to appoint municipal law enforcement officers. Bylaw 2025-12 being a bylaw for the Southern Georgia Bay Chamber of Commerce Agreement. And bylaw 2025-13 being a bylaw to amend the fees and charges bylaw, and that they be read a first time, deemed to be read a second, a third time, and carried. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Vadabunker. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. The mayor and deputy mayor serve on county council. There's 16 municipalities that comprise of Simcoe County. Madam Clerk's been including the Simcoe County highlights on our agenda. So if you would like to get the updates from the County of Simcoe, you can see it on our council agenda. And the deputy mayor likes to update the community on the work that's happening at the county. And there has been a lot going on down there. So hopefully the deputy mayor would update us on the happenings at county. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. At the county, as you're all aware, we did have a big discussion about the composition of county council. As you know, it resulted in a small protest by 17 councillors during the council meeting. to alleviate any of the fears that were brought up at the time that we weren't going to feed the children or look after the homeless or the world was coming to an end. Council returned to chambers. We finished our committee of the whole meeting. The following day, a Zoom meeting was called, and in approximately 25 minutes, it was all back to normal as usual. So we will be talking to you more about this in depth when or if it comes to fruition of what our council will have to do. The biggest issue for everybody's information is the size of council, and more importantly, the weighted vote system that they're having. Out of the large group of 17, they didn't feel that that was a good way to go. Our voices were not being heard, and that was the only way that we could pull it for discussion, as it said. So it was one way to do it, and that was the way it was done, and we will be dealing with it in 2 weeks from yesterday. So we'll know more as it comes, and we will keep you informed. The other issue that we had going on down there was the ice storm. And as you can imagine, different parts of the county were hit different ways. And it was very nice to see, as the county is made up of all 16 municipalities, some of the municipalities that weren't hit very hard, they sent fire, they sent ambulances, they sent all their public works people, equipment to the neighboring municipality next door. So that even helped get it all done. The one thing we just did yesterday at county was extend free brush drop off at the transfer stations. We had done it during the emergency to the 28th. Now it will be to May 31st. So, and if it was decided then that if we needed more time, and in probably certain areas we may, that we would consider extending that even further. But for now, just about everybody in the county is back on hydro, and you can drop off all your brush if you can, just to make life easier and keep the neighborhoods cleaner, straight through, no charge till May 31st. And that will do it, Your Worship.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. One thing I'll just add to the Deputy Mayor's comments, if we're in the middle of leaf pickup, brush cleanup, yard cleanup, the schedule may change. We're going to be diverting vehicles to bigger impacted areas. So it's possible if you were scheduled next week, it's possible the truck may not come because we're diverting those vehicles to other high impact. We'll communicate that out, but just echo that comment, there may be some slight changes. Council, do you have any questions for the Deputy Mayor on County Council? Okay, we'll move on. Council, announcements or inquiries? Anybody have announcements or inquiry? Councillor Roux.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a few announcements from the Penetanguishene Centennial Museum. On Wednesday, April 16th, from 10:30 till 11:20, there's a Museum Tots Easter program and it's $5 per child, and pre-registration is required. Following that, we have on April the 19th from 9:30 until noon, the Easter Extravaganza, which is a egg visit by the bunny, egg races, crafts, and more. And there again, it's $5 per person and pre-registration is required. And finally, Your Worship, on a more sad note, is that mentioned the passing of Jack Scott, who was a former museum board member and a 20-year plus very active friends of the museum. So Jack passed away 2 days ago, and we keep him in our thoughts.
So sorry to hear that, and thank you for sharing, Councillor Roux. Mike. Councillor Marshall, I believe you had an announcement.
Thank you. Just a friendly reminder that there is the Environmental Championship Awards and a presentation by the SSCA on May the 9th from 5:30 to 7:30 at the North Simcoe Sports Recreation Center. And I don't want to steal anyone from Planning's thunder, but we do have a public information center happening next week, April 16th, with regards to the Peel Street reconstruction, and just wanted to make sure. So Councillor DeRush, I wasn't sure, but I just wanted to make sure that didn't get missed.
Thank you, Councillor Marshall. Councillor Vadabonker.
Thank you, Worship. At Transportation Environmental Services section earlier this week, we talked about one of our referral items, and that is the septage disposal and treatment solution. And I just thought it might be helpful if Director Murray was able to provide a brief update on where we're at with that. Thank you.
I think you're reading my notes because that was my question tonight too. So thank you, Director Murray.
Thank you, Your Worship, through to Councillor Vadaboncourt. As of a couple of weeks ago, I did have a meeting with my North Simcoe counterparts in the Township of Tiny and Township of Tay. I can confirm that the Township of Tiny and the Town of Midland have received a grant for the from the province for the construction of a new septage facility, and that was just announced earlier this year. At the meeting I had with my counterparts, they did confirm that the Township of Tiny and Midland are currently engaged in discussions and the drafting of an operational agreement for this new septage facility. And the details of which haven't been finalized, but I'll continue to follow up with my counterpart to get updates, and also to clarify until this new facility is built, what options we have in terms of disposal until that facility gets built. So I'll continue to update, continue to engage with my counterparts there and update council when I have a fulsome update to provide.
Thank you, Director Murray.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. One thing I did forget to mention, and I'll just mention it now. When we were at the county, we changed our budget up for trails throughout the county, and I know that the town had a budgeted amount looking for some money from the county for one of our trail updates. And I just wanted to let you know that we okayed it yesterday. So staff should be hearing that it's coming forward.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Rush, did you have an announcement or inquiry? Sorry. Okay. CO Lees, announcement or inquiry on behalf of staff.
Thank you, Your Worship. None at this time.
Okay, thank you. I did have the sabotage, but thank you, Councillor Vadaboncourt. I'm going to ask staff, Councillor Vadaboncourt brought up earlier regarding the newsletter from Electra and the survey. Perhaps we can just push that out on our communications channel, just another way to encourage staff to do that. I think that was a great point, but if we can just emphasize that, I think that'd be great if we could do that. I also just want to highlight and thank the community for your participation. I think tonight, whether we agree or disagree is another issue. I heard tonight about time and moving quickly. And I want to talk about some other things we talked about tonight, and my council colleagues confirmed this, and I think this demonstrates how this council works. We heard literally 2 years ago almost public feedback regarding the proposed tower, communication tower. This council called a special council meeting to hear the public. That meeting was on October the 17th, 2023. Since that time, October 17th of 2023. Since that time, this council has had multiple opportunities and venues for members of the public to communicate with council. I think we are demonstrating that the process works, and I think we've demonstrated that nothing has gone quick, and I want to thank you for your participation in that process, and I believe in that process. I think we're demonstrating that the system works. So thank you for your participation. Yeah. Okay, let's move on, Council. Our confirmation bylaw. Confirmation bylaw reads that the confirmation bylaw 2025-14 be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk. Moved by Councillor Roux, second by Councillor Marchand. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. And we'll look for a motion to adjourn at 8:33. It's moved by Councillor Roux, second by Councillor Vadaboncourt. All in favor? Have a good night. Thank you for your participation. We'll be back in about, let's call it 11 minutes or so for Committee of the Whole. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call our Committee of the Whole meeting to order for Wednesday, April the 9th, 2025 at 8:51 p.m. Welcome. Council, we have a motion for the approval of the agenda. It reads that the Committee of the Whole agenda for April the 9th, 2025 be approved as presented. It's moved by Councillor Marshaw, seconded by Councillor Veta-Boncoeur. Comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Council, does anybody have a declaration of pecuniary interest tonight? Seeing none, if you see yourself at that time, do let us know. For delegations and presentations, we have two. Our first one is a presentation from the Habitat for Humanity for North Simcoe. Kate, are you presenting? Kate Root is here to present on behalf. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here this evening, and I look forward to hearing more. Welcome.
Mayor and Council for giving us this opportunity. We really appreciate your time, and in particular, we appreciate the support of you and of staff as we've tried to move this affordable housing project forward. Certainly, you know, we tried to get a piece of property here in the municipality of Penetanguishene. So many slopes and hills here, but so we're moving forward. We have been offered a piece of property in Tiny. And if we go to the next slide, I just want to remind you before we go forward, this is the project model we're working with, 5 units, affordable housing, rental, 5 units, 360 square feet is kind of what we're working with, 1 bedroom accessible units, and really targeting rental to low wage earners. If we go to the next slide, this is the property in question just on your border there, and go to the next slide as well. I'm just drawing a circle around the piece of property that, so it's half of that. It's only 2 acres of that 10 acres that we're being offered. And that yellow circle indicates where, in fact, we're hoping to do the build. So it is right on your border there. That's your unopened road allowance that it sits on. We go to the next slide. That's a concept plan. So we're hoping to actually build on that one corner septic. There's the 5 units with some storage as well. And I've drawn a circle around, I believe that house on the corner is in Penetanguishene, and I suspect that they have water from Penetanguishene. We do know that there is a fire hydrant on that other circle on the corner, which belongs to Penetanguishene. So water is quite close to us there. And if we go to the next slide, that's our requests of council. We know that this is a very complex opportunity for us to build on this property. These pieces are critical for us to go forward, to have access to municipal water, to access the property via your unopened road allowance is the only way that we would be able to get in there. And then we're also asking for a waiver of, you know, some of the staff support and fees that would come along with that. We hope to move forward with this. We're still need to hear back from Tiny because I'm sure we supplied them with an application for pre-consultation. We have not got that yet back from them, so we don't know what concerns or pieces that they will require of us, but we know that these 3 pieces are absolutely critical. So we want to thank you for your time and consideration of this. We know it is a significant ask, but it is a way that we're finally going to get some affordable rental housing. We treat this as a project that is a model. As we've said in the past, we're hoping that people will be able to see that these modular homes can come in quickly, can be very affordable to build, as well as affordable to offer to our residents here. And you have all received those letters from businesses in the area about how they need this support to be able to offer employment and increase their business in the area. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Any member of council have any comments or questions? Councillor Vedabunker.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think, and I appreciate the presentation. There may be a need because of the complexity that there be some pre-consultation with Town of Penetanguishene staff just to talk about the feasibility connection, the road allowance, the water connection. I meant the using of the road allowance, those types of things. So it might be advantageous to have that conversation with Penetanguishene staff as well.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Thank you so much for the presentation. And again, thank you for your passion and drive and all you do to make this become a reality. I think there's so many people that don't have a voice, and you're surely championing that voice. So thanks. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, we're moving on, Council. The next one is presentation from the Severn Sound Environmental Association. It's a video from the biodiversity activity.
There are 3 simple changes I tell all of my arthritis patients to make. Number 1, you have to start drinking more water.
Council, comments or questions? Councillor Mershaw.
Thank you. I do want to just, I requested that the video be shared. I just think it's really important to share the great work that the Severn Sound Environmental Association is doing as it relates to biodiversity activities. And I was really proud that certainly Penetanguishene has been extremely active in a lot of this biodiversity work, and we were really featured quite well in this video. So on behalf of the SSEA, I do thank Council and everyone for allowing us to share that video and just continue that great work. And there's some great information if individuals are looking to just do some of that biodiversity just for their own backyards and whatnot as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marchand, and thank you for your work at the SSEA. And I understand a recent appointment as the Vice Chair. So congratulations to you on that and your leadership at SSEA. Thank you. Okay, Council, we're going to move on to our Council information package. Does anybody wish to pull anything from the Council information package for further comment or discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion that reads that the Council information package having been given due consideration be received for information. Moved by Councillor LaRue, seconded by Councillor Vedabunker. Further comments Call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Councillor Vadabankur, if you can guide us through the Transportation Environmental Services section, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was just pulling an item because I wanted to speak to it. So under the Transportation Environmental Services section, we have 5 items under the consent agenda. They are quite extensive reports. The first one is the 2024 Stormwater Annual Report. The second is the Midland Penetang Machine Transit Committee meeting minutes. The second is another comprehensive report, 2024 Sanitary Collection Annual Report. The third is the annual report on the sewage treatment plant and pump stations. We heard that presentation at our council meeting earlier. And the last one is the 2024 Roads Division KPI summary report. Does anybody have any questions or would like to see any of those reports pulled? I have one, and that has to do with the Roads Division KPI summary report. I'll read the motion that the following consent agenda items having been given due consideration be received for information, and it'll be all those 4 items with the exception of the 2024 Roads Division KPI summary report that we'll vote on separately. May I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor, a seconder. Councillor Marshaw, any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. So just the 2024 Roads Division key performance indicator report. We discussed this as with the other reports at section, and there was lots of information in the report, and there was a chart there that spoke about expenditures pertaining to the Roads Division in the maintenance of equipment. And we had some questions about that particular chart, and I'm going to turn it over to our Director Murray, who is going to elaborate a little further on those expenditures versus budget. Director Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, in terms of the equipment maintenance and actual costs chart, which is page 7 within the attached document on the agenda, it basically provides a summary over the last 5 years of the trends in terms of the equipment maintenance over that period. I did indicate and did notice that the budgetary allotment that's in the chart is incorrect. So the difference between the actual expenditures and the budgetary is off. So I have noted that and noted it to Councillor Vadabankur, but that's something that we can correct going forward. But the actual expenditures going forward does indicate an increasing trend, which we can obviously take information from that, and we have increased our capital replacement for a lot of our heavy equipment within the capital budget to counteract those rising costs, which our repairs and maintenance are seeing on an annual basis. So we're taking steps to counteract that, but I do appreciate the note that you mentioned there, Councillor Vadabankur.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Any questions of Director Murray on that? Okay, well, thank you. Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion then that Committee of the Whole receive the Public Works 2024 Roads Division Key Performance Indicators Report for information. May I have a mover? Deputy Mayor, seconder, Councillor Marshaw. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. We have no matters for consideration, and we have the 2 matters for referral. Are there any additional referral items? Yes, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
I'm just wondering whether we can take away our second one, our pedestrian crosswalk paintings. I think they were kind of covered earlier on.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Madam Clerk, would it be appropriate to consider taking that off the agenda?
That works if council agrees.
Okay, so, okay, may I have a mover, Deputy Mayor LaRose, second by His Worship. Any further comments on that? All those in favor? Carried. With respect to the Habitat for Humanity presentation there, I'm wondering, since the items, two of the items, the funding we'll set aside for a second, but two of the items pertain to the road allowance and connection to water, whether that should be referred to staff or just the Habitat for Humanity requested to come in and meet with staff to further elaborate on the request. I'm not sure on that. I just don't know how best to move that forward. But at this particular point, I know it was for information, but perhaps, Mr. Deputy Mayor, you have some thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I would agree that I think it should be a referral item. Just as this goes down the road, we don't want them to be caught. We don't want to be caught knowing whether it's possible or not possible. It's a pretty big project. I wouldn't want them to go through all the problems if it's something that cannot be done by us. So yeah, I would like to see it on the referrals.
Thank you. And from my standpoint, I think that the first step is to deal with the Township of Tiny first, and then depending on the type of response they get from the township, then to engage with our staff, because I wouldn't want to see us get engaged if it's not going to move forward from the Township of Tiny standpoint. So yes, Your Worship, you had a comment?
I think to your comment, referral then would be appropriate. We'll let staff figure out T&E or FCS or P&D. And to your point, maybe the referral, we could say staff could, once we hear back from Tiny, then we could start that consultation process.
Thank you, Your Worship. Madam Clerk, do you have enough information there to craft a referral? So may I have a mover to, yes, the Deputy Mayor to add that, and Councillor LaRue second to add that as a referral. Madam Clerk will craft the wording. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. So we had one item come off. We had one item added. So I'll read the recommendation that the Transportation Environmental Services section endorse the following additional and existing referrals to upcoming agendas and staff as amended. And we know what they are. Any further comments or questions? May I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor LaRose, seconder, Councillor Marchand. All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Question period from the media or the public. Are there any members of the public here? Okay. Thank you, Your Worship. I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Councillor Vadeboncourt. We're going to move on to 7, Section B, Recreation Community Services section. I'm going to turn the chair to Councillor LaRue.
Thank you, Your Worship. On the Recreation Community Services, on the consent agenda, that the following consent agenda items haven't been given due consideration, be received for information. One is the Museum and Heritage Committee meeting minutes, February the 13th, 25. And secondly, the Summer Cultural Festival Ad Hoc Committee minutes of January 14th, 2025. Does anyone wish to discuss further on these? No. Mover and a seconder, Deputy Mayor and Councillor Marchand. All in favor? Matters for consideration, we have none, and referrals to upcoming agenda staff that the Recreation Community Services section endorse the following additional and existing referrals to upcoming agendas and staff. And I'm wondering if there's some of these that could be removed. So probably I should refer back to our director what she feels could be removed from.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe the skate park review and the Cycle for Hope event were ratified this evening.
The first two? Yeah. Okay. Does anyone have any that wish to add? There being none, then I have already read the motion that the Recreation Community Service section endorse the following additional and existing referrals to upcoming agendas and staff. A mover, Deputy Mayor, and Councillor Marchand, all in favor. And I don't believe there's any question period from the media and the public, so I would send it back to you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Madam Clerk, are you good with that from the way? Okay. Let's move on to 8, Section C, Planning and Community Development Services section. We're going to turn the chair to the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. We're at 8, Section A. We have our consent agenda, that the following consent agenda items have been given due consideration, be received for information, and where there are 3 of them. One is Committee of Adjustment minutes. The second one is Planning and Community Development First Quarter Summary. And the third one is a memo from the Municipal Law Enforcement Officer. Do we have any questions on any of those items? Seeing none, I'll ask for a mover. Moved by Councillor Leroux, seconded by Councillor Vadaboncourt. All in favor? And that is carried. Moving down to our matters for consideration. We have a couple of those tonight. We'll start with the letter D, 2024 Heritage Tax Rebates, that the following Heritage Tax Rebates for the 2024 tax year be approved. There are 3 of them, the W.R. Benson Home, J.T. Payette House, and the A.A. Thompson House. This is basically an annual thing. Do we have any questions or concerns about this? Seeing none, I'll ask for a mover. Moved by Councillor Marchand, second by Councillor Vadaboncourt. All in favor? And that is carried. Moving down to E, we have a site amendment for 7 Harriet Street. And the recommendation is that a sign amendment be approved for 7 Harriet Street, the Georgian Bay Seniors Residence, to permit a ground sign having no setback to the property line in accordance with the staff report BL 2025-03, subject to the following condition: that the proposed ground sign be confined to the general location and dimensions as noted on the site plan attachment. Do we have any questions or concerns about this? Seeing none, I'm looking for a mover. Moved by Councillor Vadaboncourt, seconded by Councillor Leroux. All in favor? And that is carried. Looks like we have some referrals. We have the cell tower public notification procedure, 161 Church Street, and a loitering bylaw. I believe we could get rid of the first one and the third one. So we are going to take out the cell tower public information and the loitering bylaw. Can I have a mover for the? Moved by Your Worship, seconded by Councillor Marchand. All in favor of removing those 2, and that is carried. So do we have any new referrals? Seeing none, we have that the Planning and Community Development Services section endorse the following additional and existing referrals to the upcoming agendas and staff, and that is our only one at 161 Church Street. If I could get a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Leroux, seconded by Councillor Vadaboncourt. All in favor? And that is carried. Any questions from period, medium public? Seeing none, Your Worship, back to you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Moving on, 9, Section D, Finance and Corporate Services section. I'm going to turn the chair to Councillor Marchand.
Thank you, Your Worship. Under the consent agenda items, we have 3 this evening. The first one is the 2024 water wastewater write-offs. The second report is a 2024 year-end property tax receivables. And the third is the Cultural Alliance in the Heart of Georgian Bay Committee partnership follow-up with 2 attachments. Does anybody wish to pull or have a discussion on any 3 of those consent agenda items? Your Worship.
Thank you. I just want to speak to item C, the Cultural Alliance, if we can pull that for a separate discussion.
Okay, so we'll pull that. So we'll look to accept the first two items for the consent agenda, that the following consent agenda items having been given due consideration be received for information. Can I get a mover? Deputy LaRose, seconder, Councillor Betancourt. All those in favor? Okay, that motion is carried. Okay, Your Worship, with regards to the Cultural Alliance, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I think the Cultural Alliance, unfortunately, is a result of 4 municipalities not understanding the path forward together. And I think it's an unfortunate situation, but it's before us. This council supported Tate Township's motion to withdraw from Cultural Alliance based on the current reality. And we actually, in essence, used Tate Township's motion. And in the past, Tate Township's motion talked about future partnerships. We need to make sure we understand the paperwork and we understand the exit. And I think they well crafted that with the spirit of partnerships as we move forward. On this consent agenda, attachment number 2 is the Tate Township follow-up letter, which I think has some important elements, where Tate Township is advocating, suggesting that the work and the intellectual property that the Cultural Alliance created on behalf of the communities is not the property of one entity. It's not the property of, in this case, the town of Midland. It's actually the ownership of North Simcoe and everyone that contributed to that. I would argue that the way Tate Township articulated the response is a response I think we should follow. I support Tate Township and how they've recommended this, and I would support that we follow in the same direction as Tay, and that's our move forward. So, Madam Chair, that's my my comments and feedback on this item. And if Council would indulge, I would suggest we just follow up in the support of Tate Township's direction.
Any other comments or questions by other members of council? So are we referring this back to craft our response to reflect that, just for some direction, or was it clear what the ask was?
We have a good understanding as to what the letter would need to say to support Tate Township.
Okay, perfect. So we would be looking then to send a follow-up to ensure that we're reflecting that?
Sure. If you could get a motion with council approval, staff can send a letter of support.
Okay, perfect. Okay, moved by Your Worship, second. Deputy LaRose, any other comments or questions? All those in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you for the, I keep turning myself off here. Great. Matters for consideration. We have one matter, and I will read the motion and then look for a mover and seconder, put it on the floor for further discussion. So we have before you the 2025 tax rate, levies, and budget estimates. That the 2025 tax rate, levies, and budget estimate be adopted as recommended by staff under option number 2, and that staff transfer $19,300 from the town's tax stabilization reserve be approved, and further that a transfer of $209,986 to the town's policing reserve be approved, and finally that the clerk bring forward the necessary bylaw for council's approval. Can I get a mover on that and a seconder? Moved by Your Worship, second by Councillor LaRue. Questions, comments with regards to the report? Your Worship.
Thank you. I think this is another good news story, and thanks to our treasurer, Carrie, for the work done on this. I think if everyone recalls us back to some changes the province made on the police and formulas and the work, and again, thanks for crafting that forward for us. I just want to make a comment. I don't want to change the motion. I think as a group and as a community, we need to start turning our attention towards a future multi-use recreation center. And we have aspirations, and we've kind of said in 10 years we want to do something. I'm not suggesting tonight we do it, but we got to get to a point where we have opportunities like this and we say, let's put the $200,000 into a future community build project. And I think we got to start turning our mind to that, because that we're going to get sticker shock, and that price is only going to go up every day. So every time we see these opportunities, we got to be real about what the opportunities are. You know, earlier tonight, Councillor Vadavangkur brought that up about, you know, the works we're doing in Public Works and how it's preventing cost escalations with our sewage treatment plant. We need to do the same kind of thing from a financial work on this. So I just wanted to make those comments, because that's the reality as we move forward, and we got to be concerned. But this is the right thing here today, and I'll support this.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Vadavangkur.
Thank you. That was music to my ears there, Your Worship. Just right in line with my thinking. But I had a question with respect to the tax rate stabilization reserve. It talks about, the report talks about taking a small amount out of the tax levy stabilization reserve, 19,300, due to the lower than anticipated assessment growth. I was just wondering how much is in that reserve.
Through you, Madam Chair, to Councillor Vadavangkur. Thank you for the question, and I apologize for the oversight, because I talked about the tax stabilization reserve in this report quite a bit and omitted the actual reserve balance. So currently it is at $345,500. And also in my report, I believe I just mentioned that typically when our growth estimate is higher than what we budget back in the fall, Council has transferred the increased new growth assessment to the tax stabilization reserve, obviously, which is why I'm in this report recommending that we, in this case, it was $19,000 less than budgeted, that we alternatively transfer it out of the stabilization reserve to balance our budget back to the original.
Thank you. Councillor, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And Madam Treasurer, you were very close in your estimates, and it's always an estimate in terms of what the assessment growth has been, and we're just a little bit below what you had estimated. So very close, and that follows on several years where we're above the estimate. So so thank you for that. That was important information. The other piece of information that was in your report and supported transferring some of those monies into the police reserve was in that police reserve. I believe there's only about $29,000, and this would increase that reserve somewhat, so that we have something to deal with if ever policing costs would unexpectedly increase in the future. But coming back to the mayor's comment earlier, certainly from my perspective, you know, once we get, you know, these reserves are in a healthy amount, I think we need to start turning our attention to that recreation facility reserve, because I think there's, as I recall, Madam Treasurer, is about $918,000 in there right now, $918,000 in that reserve, and we've got a long way to go to build it. So any opportunities like this we'll certainly have a look at. But anyway, I'll just conclude by saying great report, much appreciated.
Great. I'm only just going to make a quick comment as well. I do appreciate the report and the various options that were brought forward. And I think when there's an option to, you know, do we look at making some changes around taxation and those pieces? I think having healthy reserves is the right thing. And, you know, these were one-time offsets with policing, and we know that, you know, they're not going to go down. But I do agree, once we have that piece, you know, our vision and goal of a new rec center, it'd be nice to start putting money towards that as well. So I do appreciate it, and thank you for the report. So with that, I'm going to call for a vote. All those in, I did already have a mover and second, right? Sorry. All those in favor? Yeah, I did have a mover and seconder, correct? Mayor and Deputy? Georgian, okay. Opposed? Okay, that motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, referral to upcoming agenda and staff. We currently have 3 items on that list, and I believe we can remove the second one, which is the Cultural Alliance. Isn't that, oh, that's the option, excuse me. I spoke too soon. So I'm going to read the motion. There are 3 items currently that the Finance and Corporate Services section endorsed the following additional and existing referral to upcoming agendas. So we have the paper ballot consideration, Cultural Alliance, and providing some options, and then the digital signage. Anything to be added at this time? Okay, first, Your Worship, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Council, we've done a lot of really positive work. I think providing forums and opportunity for the public to consult and provide feedback. Something I'd like to ask your indulgence and your willingness to consider. And I've had preliminary conversation with the CEO, and he's familiar, and I think they know how to craft this. I'd like to see this year if we can look at changing the way we consult or hear from the public. So here's my thought. I'd like to see if we can do consultations by section. So one day or one evening, we'd have an FCS consultation and a T&E and a planning and a recreation. And I see that being the chair and the vice chair and the director. And it's really about what services we provide, because I think we do a tremendous job. And I believe earlier this year, the CEO did a high-level overview of our services. And our comments we said was, wow, that was really good. But if we did it by section, then if you're interested in rec, you come to the rec consultation evening. And it's an opportunity to hear about what we do well, but also where's opportunities that we can do more. And I think that's an opportunity for us to engage from the service level perspective between our section and the community. And I think we can use that part of our budgetary framework in consultation with the community. So I would like us to look at that from the service deliverable side to the community. I think staff, what my suggestion is from a referral is that the referral would be that sections would have a town hall analogy with SMT, the chair, the vice chair, and myself, and it's about just that item because we don't want to be in a quorum. And that's an opportunity to have that feedback mechanism back. And I believe staff know kind of, and we get a report back from staff. And then, you know, in the future, they'll come back and they'll say, good idea, bad idea, or here's how we envision we could make this work. So that's kind of what the referral is. I know it's a lot of words, and I think the CEO and the clerk kind of can wordsmith that, but that's kind of the vision that I'd like to propose.
Okay, do you have a seconder for that vision? Is that where?
I don't know. Big guy right here.
I think that's the piece, right? We do need a seconder. Okay, I was sorry. I made it as a statement. It should have been a question. Is there someone that would like to second that motion or that proposal? Councillor Betabancourt. Okay, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. So are you okay with wording on what that looks like? Okay. Councillor Betabancourt, I believe you also wanted to add an item.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And just on his worship's motion, I'm not necessarily 100% sold on what he had suggested, but with respect to public consultation and looking at making things better, I think if there's an opportunity to make things better in terms of how we consult, I think we do a good job already, but there may be an opportunity. I'm good with that. The referral matter I wanted to raise, I spoke to it a little bit earlier, was inviting a representative from Electra to come and provide an update to council, just in terms of the investments being made in our community, you know, the various activities. Brian Benz is the president and CEO of Electra. You know, maybe he could be invited, maybe you delegate to representatives, but just to come and give a presentation to council and the community on an update on Electra's activities within our municipality. If he wants to touch on what they did during the ice storm that weekend, that's fine too, but the main focus would be on just just how are they doing in our community?
Great. Second, is there someone that would second that? Your worship, go ahead.
I'll second that, but I don't know if this is possible. I don't want to complicate it. I'd love if we can add the microgrid in there. Just get a little bit of an update on the microgrid. It was fabulous, but can we add what's the results of that, part of that?
Great. Okay, so that was moved and second. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, that one carries. I will reread the motion because we've made some changes and I don't think I had a mover and seconder for the other three, correct? That the Finance and Corporate Services section endorse the additions and amendments to the existing referral items to the upcoming agenda and staff. Can I get a mover, Your Worship, and a seconder? Deputy LaRose. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Questions from the media and public? I see none. And back to you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Marshaw. And we're looking for a motion to adjourn at 9:32. Moved by Councillor Roux, second by Councillor Marshaw. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you. And again, thank you to senior team for all the work you do every day. But last week you hit it out of the park. Thank you so much.